Good morning, everyone. Welcome to teaching learning session of sociology. Today, I will discuss another case of social anthropology, that is stratagems and spoils, a social anthropology of politics by F.J. Belly. This is one of the important cases. This is a book written by F.J. Belly, and it is a very important book in field of social anthropology. Why this is important? Because it traces the way in which political institution can be understood. In this book, F.J. Belly tried to explain about the political institution, and this political institution can be understood by looking at certain rules and regulations. It is very much like a game that one can play, and the rules that are associated with these games. According to F.J. Belly, it is important to understand the political institutions, and it should be understood in the form of a game. In game, there are certain rules and regulation which the player has to follow. Then again, in the political institutions, there should be certain rules and the regulations which these political institutions should follow. This work is rooted in positivist ideology that rests on the two central assumptions, namely that the world has a discoverable order and that the knowledge pertaining to that order has been made of segments and that have already gone experimentation and whose validity has been determined. The idea is that the social behavior can be observed, the regularities within it observed, and rational connection between the two can be drawn. So, according to the Bellet, the social behavior can be observed, and these regularities within the observed and rational connection between two can be drawn. And this case is based on the positivist ideology. What is positivist ideology? We discussed in our previous lectures. So this is based on the positivist ideology, and according to Bellet, the idea that social behavior can be observed. Understanding political system as a game, because in this case, Pele said that we should understood this political institutions or political system as a game. As in a game, there are certain rules and regulation. In the same way, there are certain rules and regulation in political system, and we should understand this political system as a game. Belle began his understanding of a political system by equating it to a game and hold that just as there are rules in the game and the competitors agree on what those rules are, in the similar manner politics also has these mutual agreed upon rules. Like in games, there are certain rules, and the players of opposite team, that is the player of both teams, agreed upon those rules. Similarly, in political system, according to Belle, there are certain rules, or these political rules has been mutually agreed upon by the competitors. After the point of time, political resembles less of a game and more of a fight, in which the final objective is not to just win the game, but rather to destroy that game in such a way that a new set of rules may be established. According to Belle, this political system started as a rule, but over a period of time, this political game or this political politics resembles to a fight rather than the game. And the only thing, the objective of this politics is not only to win the game, but also to destroy the game so that a new rules can be established in favor of the political system. So, according to FB Bellet, the political system started as a game. There are certain rules and regulations agreed upon by the competitors, but over a period of time, these rules, these politics destroy these games. Not only win this game, but the objective of the politics is not only to win this game, but to destroy the rules so that they can establish the new rules. He talks about the two kinds of rule that exists. The normative rules. First is the normative rule, a rule that are out there in the public, rules that do not describe a particular type of action, but on the contrary, those which set a broad set of limit to social action. So, according to Belle, there are two kinds of rules exist in the political game. The first is the normative rule. Normative rules are those rules which are in the public, and it is a broad set of limit of social action. It means that there is ample choices with the individual about what course of action they might take. The other kind of rule mentioned are the pragmatic rules, or rules that are related to the private wisdom. In these rules, that are the ones that Belly wants to focus on, he maintains that these rules, which each culture has its set of, but yet there is something common in all pragmatic cultural rules which must be located. So, according to Bellet, there are two types of the rule. There are two types of the rule. The first rule is the normative rule, which are open to the public, and in this rule, the people have choices, ample choices, that individual have ample choices, and ample choices about what course of action might be taken. And next is the pragmatic rule, and FP Belly is more interested in pragmatic types of the rules, and this pragmatic rule is of private wisdom, right? So according to Belly, these rules, which each culture has its set of, yet there is common something in all pragmatic cultural rules. That these pragmatic rules, these are the private wisdom rules, and it totally depends on the culture. But again, there are certain common things. The political structure cannot be studied in vacuum, but rather need to be understood in terms of their cultural and natural environment. See, politics is for the society, so it cannot be studied in the vacuum. If you want to study about the politics, so it is very important to understand the culture of that society as well as the natural environment. Then only you can study the politics according to Bellet. The political structure is able to survive only if it either modifies itself to suit the environment, or else modifies the environment to suit itself, because politics exists within the society, and it is important that for political structure to survive, either it modifies itself according to the environment, or modifies the environment according to the politics, right? According to the, or modifies the environment according to politics. In the absence of either of these two cases, a political structure is sure to perish. Either environment should modify according to politics, or politics should modify according to environment. In absence of both of these conditions, it is difficult for political structure to survive. Definitely, the political structure is going to be perish. In trying to understand this interaction, not all parts of the environment have to taken into consideration. Only a few have been taken into consideration. And environment affects the political system. The system also has its rules in place so as to shield it from the excessive demands of the environment. See, environments impacts the political system, but in political system there are certain shields, and these shields protects the political system from the excessive demands of the environment. The work adaptly deals with the notion of how the political changes itself as well as the environment through a process called maintenance, which is also stood as equilibrium. So, because environment and politics both are important for each other, it is very important to maintain the equilibrium between the environment and the politics. So, environment as well as politics has to be changed according to the needs of each other to maintain the equilibrium of the society. Defining a political structure. What is a political structure? A political structure for a belly can be understood as a combination of rules which make up a structure. The rules broadly deal with the five concepts. According to Bellet, what is political structure? It is a combination of rules, and these combinations of a rule makes a structure, and these rules are of five types, right? Can we deal with the five concepts, not the five type, but these rules deals with five concepts. The first is defining what the price, the end result is, as well as the action that makes one worthy of the prize. The prize is culturally defined and is comparable to something like power or honor in everyday setting. So the first concept is what is the prize and what is the end result. As action that makes one worthy of the prize, right? What is the prize? If I want that prize, what action should I take to for that prize, right? And these prizes are, according to Bellis, culturally defined, and these prizes are comparable the prizes like power. What is the prize? The prize could be power, the prize could be honor, and to get the power and honor, what action should be taken? It must be something that is scarce and not easily achievable and is valuable. So price should be valuable. It should be something achievable, right? And these values creates as well. These values creates as well as regularizes the competitions that takes place. It totally depends on the price. The level of competition depends on the price. These values are also symbolically and culturally defined, and they need to be repeated for themselves to kept alive. So first concept is the price. If the price is important, or if price is scarce and is not easily achievable, price could be power, price could be honor, and these prices are culturally determined. So the rules, the concept of the power structure is, for the first concept is the price, and second concept is defining who is qualified to participate in the bid to win the prize. Who can participate in that competition to win that prize? The political structure recognizes at least three groups from within which the people are eligible to for a political structure. The first is the political community, which marks the broadest boundary of the political structure. Beyond this structure, the rules no longer apply, and it helps to distinguish the insider from the rest. So who can participate for this, who are qualified, or who can participate for this political this for this prize depends on the basically it depends on mm, um, it is basically there are three groups on which there are three groups which participate in the bid of this prize. And the first one is the political community, right? Political community is what the it is the broadest boundary of the political structure, right? Who are in this boundary, or who are in this boundary can apply, and those who are beyond this boundary, right, the rules are no longer applied to those who are beyond the boundaries of the political communities, right? That also the first group is the political community. The second group is in within this political boundaries, right? Within this political community, there is a group of political elite, which is a part of a these political elites are the part of the political community, and it is from this pool that people can be chosen, that can compete with one another for a certain powers and privileges. There is a political community. This is the broadest boundary. Who will participate in that who could be compete with each other for that prize, right? Within that political community, there are political elite. These political there are the pool of people who can be chosen to take to compete with each other, and there are the third is the political team. And the political team, which is how people in the political structure should organize themselves. It is usually how supporters are mobilized, and team that is based on the achievement status is an association. So, political community, political elite, and then the political team. These are the second criteria is who these can be qualified to participate in the bid to win that prize, right? The third criteria for political structure is defining what the composition of competing team will be. The composition. The composition of the members can be ascertained from the political community. Within it lays the group and the elite, and even the deeper still are the state political teams that are made up which fight for the prize. And finally, all the center of all this is the leader. So, the team, the composition of team is political group, and then political elites, and the political team, and important is leader. Among them, there should be one leader. Depending on whether the team is morally obliged to the leader, and so are the parts of the groups, or whether there are contractual basis, the groups can be divided into two: the formal moral team and the lateral contract team. So, team could be of two types: the moral team and the contract team. The fourth concept is defining how the competition will takes place, and also making clear what accounts as a fair practices and what as unfair practices in the game, right? So defining the fair practices and unfair practices, right? And how competition will takes place. The rules about the competitions not only constrain the behavior of those who are taking part, but also promotes the sense of order and ensures that line of communication is very clear between all the contenders. So the fourth concept is that is the rules that how the competition will takes place, and the rules of the fair and the unfair practices of the competition. The message that are passed across are known as confrontations. These messages may lead to public display of their strength, a display of resource available with each team, which is termed as encounter. The fifth concept is defining what procedure is to be followed in case the rules are broken. So there are certain defined rules. So what procedure is to be followed if rules are broken? In the political structure, there are mechanisms which ensures that in case there are opposing views between the contestants, then this can be taken care of through the role of mediator. And the role who would be mediated and the role of who would be a mediator is not fixed and can change from one situation to another. Those who are the allies in one situation can very well be opposing team in another situations. So, if in case the procedure is not followed, it could be solved by the mediator, right? And these mediator is the role of this mediator is not fixed and can change from one situation to another situation. So, according to F. Bellet, there are the five concepts of the political structure, and the political structure depends on these the five concepts. As he said that as the leader is the center of the political structure. So what is the position of the leader in that political structure? The leader plays a very important role in political structure. According to F.B. Belly, there are two major kind of understanding when it comes to the politics, the role that leaders plays. One cultural understanding believes that all men are equal, and by virtue of that, they should have equal amounts of political power. And on the other hand, are the culture which proclaims the opposite, that is, that all men are born are not all men are born equal, and that only few chosen one have the rights to rule. So there are two types of beliefs. The first is in some culture, the belief is that all men are equal and they should have equal amounts of political power, right? All men are equal, and by because all men are equal, because of virtue of that, all should have equal amounts of political power. Anyone can compete for that prize. And in some culture, that those culture proclaims that all men are not equal. Few are born, they are not born equal, and few have been chosen to rule. They have the right to rule, right? So there are the two central ideas. And there is a third kind of understanding too that sways between the two. To be able to become a leader is not just a matter of being born in the right group, but is also the skill that can be acquired. So basically, there are the two central ideas, that is, all men are equal, and by virtue of that, anyone can and everyone should have equal political power, have equal right to compete. The second understanding is that in some culture, that according to those culture, so according to that understanding, that all are not equal born, but few are born to rule. And there is a third understanding that is in between the two. And according to this third understanding, that it is not important to become a leader, it is not important to be born in some right group or in a group that is that is born to rule. But apart from this, there should be skills to rule. That skill should be acquired to rule. So if you are born in an elite class, or if you are born in that group which are supposed to rule, but if you don't have a skills, then the chances could be there that you could not rule. So you should have skills as well as you should be born in that group, right? So what are the various roles of the leader? In order for the smooth functioning of a political team, it is important that someone takes the decisions within the group and the other members follow this decision. So, leader is the one who takes the decisions, and everyone else follows the taken decision taken by the leader. This then becomes the main responsibility of a leader, that is the decision making. A leader primarily has to take two types of the decision, one which helps the main group and the other which concern the task the team has to perform vis-a-vis outside world. So there are two types of the decision which leader has to be take. The one decision which is associated with the main group, and the second type of a decision is concerned with that of the team, that is what the team has to perform, right? The member may compete with each other to increase their own share of the spoils or profits. Or in case of morale teams where they compete for precedence, it is the leader then who has to mediate and resolve these issues. See, as we told that there are political community. Within that political community there are political elites and there is a political team, and political team was of two types, that is the moral team and the another team was the contract team. So at times the members of the teams compete with each other so as to increase their own share or to increase their own profit, right? That is basically in case of the moral team, right? Where they compete for the precedence. So it is the leader, because leader is the one who takes the decision. Leader has to mediate between the groups or between the team and should resolve these issues, right? Otherwise, if the team members will compete with each other, it will create a problem for the political community or for that leader. While taking these decisions, leader needs to make sure that they balance the three kind of action that occurs in the group. The first, a decision that most agreed that is the consensual decisions. So leader has to take the three types of the decisions. The consensual decision. The consensual decisions are those decisions that most agree on, that the most of the team members agree on this certain decision. So it is very important that for a leader to take to balance the three kinds of the action. The first is the consensual decision. The second decision where there isn't any time for a discussion and is necessary and forced upon the group. And in the second time, and the second type is where leader takes the decision and everyone else has to follow the decision taken by the leader. It could be because of the lack of time, it could be because of the emergency situations. And finally, the decision that is so consensual that it is not taken by anyone in particular and is agreed on by all, right? So there are three kinds of the decision, right? Which leader should take care of. The consensual decision, there are certain types of the decision which the consensual decisions are those types of the decision with which all agreed upon. The third is the decisions that the leader takes the decision without consulting anyone, and everyone else follows the decision taken by the other. And the third type of decision is a consensual, so consensual type of a decision that is not taken by anyone in particular. You cannot say this decision has been taken by so and so. That is not taken by the by anyone particularly, but everyone agreed on that decision. So that is the third type of the decisions. So FB Bellet defines certain characteristics of a strong leader. In this case, what are those characteristics of a strong leader? The major difference that exists between a strong leader and a weak leader is that a strong leader commands while the weak leader asks for the consent. So, according to the FB Bellet, the strong leader commands while the weak leader asks for the consent. That is according to the FB Bellet in this case. A strong and a good leader also understands that the contract group, the followers have to be always treated as individual and not as a group. There were two types of the group, that is the moral group and the contractual group. So, according to Bellet, a good leader should understand that in the contract group, he should treat the followers as an individual, not as a group. And Their requirements are different, and therefore, not everyone needs to be kept happy at the same time. It is very difficult to keep everyone happy. So, leaders should take the decision which is good for the majority of people, right? A leader can have several ways of dividing up the earned dividends, right? That is the profits. So it is very important that leader should divide the profits or the spoils, right? And there are various ways the leader can divide the earned dividends or the profits. These profits could be in form of the material goods. It could be money or it could be any other material good, and could also be in form of titles that can be handed over the followers. It is not important that these dividends or these goods should be only the material good. It could be material good. Material good means it could be money, it could be something else, materialistic things. But the another way of dividend is these dividend could be in the form of titles that can be handed over to the followers, right? As the Britishers did. Both material resources as well as power positions are important in the game. Good leadership, nevertheless, is not only about the material good but is also dependent on the skills. So, this was the case of this is the case of FB Belly, right? That is, he discussed the politics with politics as a game, and like in a game there are certain rules, and all the players of the game follows those rules. Similarly, in the politics there are certain rules and regulations that are that these rules and all the competitors agreed upon these rules and regulations. But over a period of time, according to FB, over a period of time, this political system or the politics, rather than following the rules, the main objective of this politics is to win the game, not only to win the game but to destroy the game so that they can establish new rules, right? And he discussed the political structure in detail, right? Political structure, like according to him, this political structure actually depends on the five concepts, and he discussed the FB Bellet discussed these five concepts in detail. And according to FB Bellet, the political structure includes the this political structure includes the political team and the political elite and the political community. The political community is the broadest criteria or the broadest boundary of this politics, and within this political communities comes the political elite and the political team. And the political team could be of two types: the moral and the contractual team. And there should be a leader, and leader plays an important role in politics. Then here the FB Bellet discussed the certain characteristics of a leader and the important roles of the leader. According to FB Bellet, the important role of a leader is to take a decision, right? The decision making is very important for the leader, and the decision could be of consensual type decisions means that everyone agreed upon those rules. At times the leader has to take the decision without consenting everyone, and everyone else should follow the decision taken by the leader. And the third type of the decision he discussed is that at times no one takes the decision but everyone agrees upon that decision, right? So these are the roles of the, according to Bellet, this decision making is an important role that leader has to play, and there are the certain he discussed then the certain characteristics of the leader. Now we'll discuss another case, that is the street corner society case. This street corner society case is given by William Forte White, WF White case, right? WF White discuss the street corner society. What is this street corner society? SCS. This street corner society was originally published as a street corner society by William Fate White, the social structure of an Italian slum by University of Chicago in 1943. So this was published by a Chicago press in 1943, and originally it was the social structure of an Italian slum. This SCS, that is the Street Corner Society, has been called the classic study of the field work and participant observation. This is important study of ethnomethodology, right? And this is a classical case of the field study and the participant observation. It was republished several times over years. It is description of behavior of some individuals organized into different groups in an Italian slum area of an American city. So, what is SCS? SCS is actually it is actually a description of behavior of individuals organized into different groups in an Italian slum. In an Italian slums, these some individual are organized into the different groups, and how these individual groups behave, right? Especially in slum areas. These groups are from the slum areas, right? So. For this study, the data is drawn from 3.5 years, that is from 1936 to 40, a study of the district which White called as Corneville, right? So this street corner society street corner society is based on the field study and participant observation. And so for field study, will White W.F. White studied an Italian slum from 1936 to 1940, and during this period he collected the data, and he collected the data from the district which he called the corner village. Spending time in the area helped him to understand closely how the social structure of the street corner gang changed over the time, because he spent a lot of time, ample amount of time, to collect the data, that is 3.5 years, right? During this period, he closely observed the social structure of these gang, and he observed how these social structure of these street corner gang changed over the time. So these gangs, the structure of these street corner gang changed over a time, and he observed that White observed these social structure, these changes in the social structure of these street corner gangs. His work has challenged the assumption that slums are inherently disorganized. There was a perception that slums are disorganized, and his study challenged this assumption that slums are inherently disorganized. Through his work, he sought to bring out the degree of organization in slums. According to W.F. White, slums are not disorganized, right? There is a degree of organization in slums. His writing implied that social researchers do not understand the nature of organization in slums and hence refer to them as disorganized, because the researchers are not able to understand the structure about the organizational structure of these slums. So they say that these slums are disorganized. Actually, according to White, these slums are not disorganized. According to the Street Corner Society, the character of slum social organization cannot be understood until more sociologists shift their emphasis from social disorganization in order to investigate the process of social reorganization rather than reorganization. Disorganization from these sociologists should shift their emphasis to social reorganization. Street corner society can be seen as an attempt in the direction that is from disorganization to reorganization. SCS is a study about social interaction, networking, and everyday life among the young Italian American men in Boston North End, Corner Village during the later part of Great Depression. So, after the Great Depression, in the latter part of the Great Depression, he collected W.F. White studied the corner village, that is, it is a slum of Boston North End, right? It's a Boston North End, and it is an Italian slum, right? Basically, the young Italian American men in Boston Northern Corner Village, he studied the Italian American men, and this street corner society study about the social interaction, networking, and everyday life among these young slum dwellers. Corner boys versus college boys, social relation and leadership pattern. WFY, in the first part of his book, there are comprehensive account for the establishment and systemization of local gangs. According to White, there are certain local gangs, and in the first part of his book, he established and systemized this account of the local gangs. Street corner men hardly saw any sorry, street corner men hardly saw each other outside their chosen corner, although various corner gang reserved the same night every week. So there is a particular place where these gangs or the members of these gangs meet each other. There is a particular place, right? This formed their time for some special activity, and these special activities unceremoniously bound the men together. So there is a particular time, there is a particular place where particular corner where these gang meet with each other at same night every week, and this meeting is a special time. This is unceremonial bound that men together, right? This meeting creates a bonding between the members of that gang or group. The gang in the street corner society were completely united since most of the gangs activities can be traced back to their earlier childhood. So, why they are this SCS, they are why the members of these gangs are united together because of their early childhood, because they know each other from their childhood. Home usually plays a very small role in the activities of corner boys. People were usually known by their nicknames and by not their family names. So this family plays a small roles in their life because everyone know each other by their nickname, not by their family name. So why they do so? Because they know each other from their childhood. In his work, White described the peer group interaction of the boys in the community by differentiating between as the corner boys and the college boys. So there were two types of the groups, the corner boys and the college boys. The lives of the corner boys revolve around the particular street corner and the neighboring shops. And these corner boys, the life of these corner boys revolve around the particular street corners or the neighboring shops, right? Because they don't because they meet with each other at the particular street corners, right? Their home life was reduced to minimum, and many had no longer employment and were engaged in illegal activities. And these corner boys were basically engaged in illegal activities. because they don't have regular employment, right? And their home life was reduced to the minimum. The focal point of action was the street corner, which usually gave its name to the group. And the important is that the point of action is that the street corner, which gave its name to the group, where they meet. That is important. That street corner where they meet with each other plays an important role in street corner in life of these boys. On the other hand, the college boys were more focused on the good education and moving up to the social ladder. The corner boys, who were larger in number, usually have less than high school education. The level of education of these street corner boys is less than the high school. While describing the relationship between the people, White explained the relationship and leadership pattern as well. So, White explained the relationship within the college boys, within the that is between the college boys and the street gangs or the corner gangs. The relationship between the corner boys were deemed to be stronger than the college boys, right? So the relationship between the corner boys are important because they know each other from their childhood. They spend maximum time with each other. They don't have regular employment, so they have more important, that is stronger bond with each other than the college boys have. He explained that the informal corner leaders, in their efforts to gain social recognition, finally supported many of the group activities. Whereas the bond of thrifty college boys who already are able to conform to some aspects of middle class values that they wish to achieve were rather weak, ready to break whenever the collision with the personal betterment. That is, the relationship between the college boys are very weak, and these relationship could they are ready to break their relationship with each other when there is a collision between their personal betterment, when there is a choice between, when they have the choice between their personal betterment and their relationship. These college boys always chooses the personal betterment over the relationship with their friends. While for the corner boys, relationship is important, right? For corner boys, the most important criteria in relationship to each other is loyalty and the way one act in personal relations, right? So loyalty is very important. Relationships plays an important role in life of the corner boys. The social aggressive college boy judges a man according to his capacity to advance. By observing the group interaction, White was able to learn about the street gangs' informal leadership pattern. So there was an informal leader of of these street corner gangs, and White studied about this informal gang leader. He gave example related to how two or three groups merged into a larger unit when the leader arrived. When the leader said what he thought the gang should do, and the others followed. So, among these gangs, there is a leader, and these gang merged into one gang when the leader arrived, and everyone else follows the leader, right? Racketeering, politics, and social structure. He studied about the racketeering, about the politics and the social structure of these slums. In street corner society, White described the social building and needs of corner village in addition to corner boys. He described the life of the corner boys in SCS. Apart from this, White describes the social buildings and the deeds of corner village. In the part 2 of his book, Racketers and Politician, he brings out the relationship between the corner boys, racketers, and the politicians. So, in the part 1, he described the life of the corner boys. In part 2 of the books, That is the part two of the book was on the racketers and the politician, and in this part he described the relationship between the corner boys, the racketers, and the politician. He describes how each of them is useful to one another and how different relationships develop, right? The second part on the racketeer and politician describes the working of minor gears and live on the political machine. Numbers, racket, banao, that is the celebration, parties, etc., as well as the connection and interconnection that reaches high in the states and the nation. In this part of the book, he described the relationship between the street gang, between the racketers and the politicians, how they help each other to achieve their targets, right? What is the interconnection between, he described the interconnection between the street corner gang, between the racketers and the politicians. In his book he confirms that in 1930s the racketers were almost the only men seen on the street. They were also among the beneficiaries who had money and political influences. White White's purpose was to expose in details the street gangs, social, criminal, and political organization. These constituted alternative career path for the racketers and the politicians. According to White, in 1930s, that the racketers were almost the only men seen on the streets. So racketers were, the streets were taken over by the racketers, and these racketers were among the beneficiaries. Though these had they had money and the political influence. And uh, why he studied about the racketers, the White's purpose to study was to expose in detail the street gangs, social, criminal, and political organization. How these gangs are associated with criminals and the political organization, right? For corner village politician, there are five prongs to their speeches: race, class, the candidate's personal appeal, his qualification for office, and the statement of political strength. So these are the five prongs for any politician for this corner village city, and these prongs impact their relationship between different gangs who will offer political support to them. Why? Because of their caste, because of their class, because of their race, because of candidates personal appeal, and the qualification for the office. The racketers often serve as a mediator between the corner boys and the politician. The effect of racketers on the corner village can be distributed into three classes: on the daily life of the corner boys, the representative, and the social structure. So these racketers impact these racketers affect the corner village in three ways. That is, on the daily life of they have impact on the daily life of these corner boys, the representatives, and the social structure. They have influence on all these three. Racketers exert influence on both the corner boys and the politicians, and thereby entire social structure of the corner village. So racketers are very powerful because they can influence they have influence on the corner boy as well as on the politician and the entire social structure of corner village. A reciprocal obligation do not play its role only at the street level, interconnected world of the racketeer and politics. So there is a reciprocal obligation because they are mutually connected. So everyone get the benefit of because of this connection. Methodological contribution of street corner society. How we study about this. White carried out his research study using the method of observation, participation observation. Participant observation is method which has many tensions and contrasts. In an unfamiliar setting, it offers a certain flexibility to the researcher. It is a method which requires a time, a year or a more, and he observed this society for 3.5 years. So he applied the field extensive field study and the participant observation method. It is a challenging method. This participation observation method is a challenging method to participate to practice, and therefore the description given in SCS helps us in establishing the usefulness of employing this method to explore a new situation and areas. Adler and Johnson argues that SCS represents a foundational demonstration of participant observation methodology. With its detailed, insightful, and reflexive account, the methodological appendix, first published in the second edition, is still regarded as one of the premier statement of the genre. So the method adopted by W.F. White is very important method, and he described this method in the second edition of his books as an appendix. So he described how he implemented this participant observation method, and this is regarded as a premier statement of genre. SCS stands as an enduring work in the small group literature, offering a rich analysis of social structure of dynamics of corner village group and their influence on individual members. So it is one of the important cases. For researchers, white work is extremely important as it offers many insight about doing ethnography and participant observation. This is the classical case of ethnography and participant observation. The appendix brings about out the process of ethnography in detailed manner, the process of entering the field, the problems he faced while doing so, the challenges of collecting data and living with it before being able to produce some coherent text around it. He talked about being immersed in the mass of confusing data and attempting to organize that data. He described the anxiety and the challenges faced by the researcher in the various stages, from initial contact to the middle stages of the research, and also when the research is ending. So he described the method of ethnography and participant observation in details, how to collect data. He described about the anxiety of the researcher, right? Selection of what to research was another area of concern. White wanted to conduct a holistic study of Cornwall with special focus on slums, but he realized that this was impossible task and there was a need of some structure. So what to study, when to study, how to take the data, which data is important, right? How to observe the things. So he described each and everything in detail in the second edition of his book as an appendix. He highlighted the importance of selection of material as everything cannot be covered, cannot be comprehensive. He revised his original plan and confined his study to the street gangs, social, criminal, and political organization in the city district. In ethnographic work or observational work, the above insight is imperative to remember as we are confronted by the huge amount of data, which all appears relevant, but again, it depends which data should be presented and which the researcher should discard, right? And other challenge related to participant observation is that those of becoming over involved in the lives of gang member and identifying with them, establishing boundaries while trying to maintain a relationship, problems of the researcher changing the behavior of group are brought out. So it is very important to observe them but should not be emotionally involved with them, right? It should be observed unbiasedly, not researcher should not be biased. That's all for today. Thank you very much.